Okay. All right. Well, hello, beloved church family. Welcome to our Wednesday night oasis with the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Judith Roberts, and I'm your host. Our Wednesday night oasis is a place where we come together as a community to be spiritually refreshed between Sundays. Most Wednesday night services build upon the theme of the previous Sunday, expressing science of mind principles and practices with the intention that these gatherings are informal, intimate, and interactive. Our annual theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. Our monthly theme for May is Raise Your Voice. Last Sunday, Reverend Elijah Christopher introduced ideas inspired by the talk title of Overcoming Silence, Individual and Collective Liberation. And tonight, our speaker will continue exploration of the same topic. So as we gather tonight, I give you a warm welcome. If you're new to our community or watching our recording, please visit our homepage at www.oaklandcsl.org and click on the I'm New icon and look at the lower left-hand corner of that page to submit your email address. Once you do, you'll begin receiving the village newsletter every Thursday in your email. It has all the information on what is happening at our center in the coming weeks. Before we get started with the talk, please mute your own audio microphone during tonight's service. When you mute your audio microphone, it'll help improve the quality of our recording and tonight's transmission, and you can leave your camera on. Please stay tuned through the end of the service to receive special and important announcements. So I would like to introduce our speaker tonight, Peggy Cotton. Peggy's a native Bostonian who studied Catholicism at Fontbonne Academy in Massachusetts before moving to the Bay Area. In the 1980s, Peggy was introduced to science of mind philosophy, where she volunteered as an usher at First Church of Religious Science under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Margaret Stortz. Today, she is a licensed practitioner here at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living under Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. Peggy is a graduate from San Francisco Art Institute with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree and completed graduate work at UC Berkeley, earning a teaching credential in art and English. Early on, Peggy volunteered in the psych ward at Boston City Hospital using art activities with child cancer patients. Currently, she does commission oil paintings and teaches aspiring adult students and has art shows from her studio at the Cotton Canvas in Berkeley at the Sawtooth Building. And that's just a little bit of Peggy's background. She has a very rich and varied professional career, but those are some of the highlights. So I want to thank you in advance, Peggy, for being our speaker tonight. As we do with every organized event at the center, we open with prayer. So, Peggy, will you be doing the honors tonight?
No, I'm not going to do the prayer this evening, this time. However, one of my dear friends has agreed that she would open us up in wonderful prayer. Alice, would you get us started in prayer?
Absolutely.
All right.
So let's just all take a nice deep breath. Just breathing in that life breath. Going within where the power and the presence of that one life resides. And as we go within, just knowing right here and right now that we are in the presence of love, complete unconditional love. For in this silent place, in the cave of the heart, This is where the power and the presence of the one life resides. And so tonight, as we bring all of ourselves together here, we are in recognition of Spirit and how good it is to know that Spirit is with us wherever we are, whatever is going on. For no one walks this life alone. Spirit whispers its song of love into our ear, guiding us, directing us, back of everything. There is never the two, only the one. And this one magnificence is with us, blessing us constantly. And so I know tonight is spectacular that our beloved Peggy, whose heart is so joyous and filled with love, so much kindness and generosity, has prepared a talk for us tonight that will inspire us, and we will just be filled. And the Spirit resides within each one of us tonight. The miracles will be happening. They are happening right here and right now. This time is so blessed. And so what a joy it is. Oh, Holy Spirit, you are so welcome here tonight. Ah, how good it is. And so just allow your hearts to open, your minds to open, to let the love flow and let Spirit take us on a ride tonight as Peggy just blesses us and fills us, and let the joy begin. And so it is. Blessed be.
So it is.
And so it is. Blessed be. So Peggy, would you like to, let's turn it over to Peggy now, and welcome Peggy. Thank you. And thank you, Alice, for that beautiful prayer.
Thank you both. Thank you, Judith, for that wonderful introduction. It was wonderful the way you put it all together for me. And thank you, Alice. The blessing is sure enough already happening. And welcome everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I am Peggy Cotton. I'm a Science of Mind practitioner here at Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. For many years, I labeled myself as a behind the scenes type of gal. I'm grateful for those years. However, they have grown me because here I am. I'm not behind the scenes right now. I'm in the scene. I'm no longer hiding. Just so you know, I'm going to pretend that there's only one of you here, and we are just going to have a conversation tonight. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Right. We're just going to chat. So, you know, I was reading this the topic for today, overcoming silence, individual and collective liberation. And I was fascinated. The word silence brought back those childhood safety rules, you know, the ones that warned that your parents said, don't speak to strangers. I learned that one in particular when I had to finally break away from my mom and take the bus to the train station all by myself. And then there's the other one that threatened, don't speak unless you're spoken to. That was when my parents had their dinner parties, which filled the house with loud talking adults who drank spiked punch and smoked filtered cigarettes. Oh, those were the days for that. I always had a sense of humor, so I used to imagine that the train station strangers were really the house, the drinking guests at the house, and they were really all the same people who just dressed in different clothes. But nonetheless, as far as I knew, Dad really knew everybody, from lawyers to racketeers. But, you know, wait a second, I digress. Let's move right along. So let's face it, keeping silent had everything to do with fear. Fear of not fitting in, fear of not belonging, being afraid of being teased or whispered about or just simply stared at. that was me though, I was the shortest, I was the fattest, I was the darkest skinned student in the entire school, whose name was regularly corrupted as Piggy rather than Peggy. Yes, I can smile about it now and we can laugh together about that. I'm sure you each have your own stuff that happened during your childhood. So I became silent. I didn't want to talk to very many people. Um, and so my silence was really deliberate. It was a method I believed in that made me feel safe. It was a way to hide. I wanted people to ignore me. I wanted the students to ignore me while secretly believing, and because of my insecurities as such a child, I was believing that their jeers were true, all about me. And I was silently rejecting them at the same time. So it was kind of confusing. This was a secret I needed to keep, I thought. So I kept silent. And for a time, I actually believed I was feeling safe. Um, so I continued to do it. Reflecting now on having studied Ernest Holmes, I came across this quote that Ernest says, it says, through experience, man learns what is really good and satisfying, what is truly worthwhile. As his intelligence increases and his capacity to understand the subtle laws of nature grows, he will gradually be set free. As he learns the truth will automatically free him. That's from the Science Mind book on page 33. But however, by not choosing to overcome silence, it's not good. We contribute to the continuation of harmful patterns and inequalities, allowing issues to fester within. We get it builds our insecurities even greater. It's not good for our nervous system. It's just one of those things that we have to really step into and overcome. And as a child, actually, when we step into this world, we're already advocates. Well, I mean, we start crying as babies, we're advocating for food or changing our diapers or sleep. We're advocating something important that's right there that will, and we don't know it as infants, but we're advocating those things, just those, even those three things, to guess what? They make the household feel better when the baby is resting calmly, quietly, full, content. So I started thinking of things in these patterns. And in today's world, isn't that the same that we need to do for today's world? Some of us will stay silent out of habit and ignorance. We'll staying silent will be propped up and prioritizing our insecurities, unable and unwilling to share our true selves, even with those we say we love, our neighbors, our good friends, our relatives. And most importantly, we don't even realize it. We're not sharing it with ourselves, with ourselves. During the early time today, we were talking about music, right? Well, funny thing is, I thought about music too when I was trying to just put my thoughts down on paper about this. And the lyrics from Simon and Garfunkel's song, The Sound of Silence, came to mind. And it says it plain. I can't do the whole song, although it would be kind of fun, but it might take up too much time. Anyway, the lyrics I pulled out go like this, and you know them. A lot of you know this. And in the naked light, I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. people writing songs that voices never share. No one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fools, I said, you do not know. Silence, like a cancer, grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. Wow. That moved me. That moved me because that talked about the place I am in the midst or community of humanity, and therefore in the midst of the universe. Is it possible that we are succumbing or subscribing to the misconception that remaining silent ensures our safety? Is that possible? Yes, it's very possible, indeed, for those of us who engage in this behavior of denial. It's not possible. It's a fact. However, as I grew, I recognized there was a growing need in me to let go of that silence, to be free. I needed to overcome my fear of judgment by others, of rejection by others, and my concerns about my insecurities and disrespect from others. I am responsible for my life, I thought. I internalized, I dwelt on, I finally owned. It magnified my lack of trust in others, and in particular, within myself, and ignorance of our nature to connect with our humanity, with our nature, which is nature itself. How dare I disconnect from that? At least try to in my mind. And then I remember not everything is a thought. Not everything is a thought. Thus, a cycle is born where unresolved grievances and suppressed voices create environments of tension and misunderstandings, preventing meaningful progress, stunting our growth. It's not possible that we are subscribing to the misconception that remaining silent ensures our safety. Is it possible? Maybe it's possible. Well, there's the rub. There's the rub right there. We know about this in our way of thinking, in our philosophy. It's a false belief. There is no safety in living in silence. It's a closed door policy. It is a self-created, unnoticed, unintended prison that holds us hostage from our own awareness, from our own consciousness and our own authenticity. That's the thing. Those are the things. For without authenticity, and without awareness and without our consciousness, where are we? But when that happens, when we are deep in it, shall we say, the ego takes satisfaction in leading. The ego likes to lead. It likes to take over the steering wheel and take us down the wrong road. But the ego takes satisfaction in leading by sheltering our opinions, our ideas, and our values. This guise creates an appearance of safety from unwanted scrutiny and criticism and challenge, thereby preventing us from our God-given right for involvement and the obligation and responsibility to act on behalf of our fellow humans. It has been said that this path is not for the faint of heart. But with spiritual practice, it becomes a divine expression of love deep from the heart. It's where one engages in its responsibility, ownership, involvement, and change, making this world the world that works for everyone, making this world that place that we talk about so easily with words. But let's think about our actions. A simple thing of a phone call to our senator or congressman or congresswoman. It defines who we are. Joan Didion, she comes to my mind too. And I was looking around for, as I'm writing the paper, looking around for some quotes, that I can put in here that are inspiring for me, and maybe share them with you in the same way. Joan Didion said, "Character, the willingness to accept responsibility for one's own life, is the source from which self-respect springs." That is the source from which self-respect springs. So as we allow self-respect to lead the way, we develop our own self-awareness and our supportive team of members, mentors who help us debunk the root causes of our fears. With the support and validation we get, we embrace our voice. We develop strategies that empower us to confront for ourselves and others more effectively. Then something different happens within. I want to go back to when I said we were born advocates. Well, we were, and we still are. Because then something different does happen in our country that shakes all who are dwelling in it. It shakes our values. We feel that no longer being respected nor followed, but rather that they are compromised or eliminated altogether. But we are advocates. It doesn't matter what side we're on, we're all advocates. So the question becomes very clear. What do we do now? What do we choose to advocate for? In my view, this is a time to give yourself a treatment for divine guidance, for clear action, for what is yours to do and what is not. To have sharp attunement, sharp listening to that inner voice. Oh, our friends are going to give us their opinion. They're going to share. You may feel some pull towards their side or their way of thinking. But it's time to remember who and whose you are. It's a time of recognizing and realizing that there is greatest power at work in you as you, and that you are here co-creating with it. It's a time to check in on your deepest beliefs, your very deep beliefs. When you go to page 10 in the Science of Mind magazine, that's where all our beliefs are. It's always on page 10 in every issue. Check them out for yourself. Ask yourself if you truly believe every single one. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do. Maybe you believe in some even more deeply than you do others. The question still remains, will my beliefs sustain me in unexpected, difficult circumstances? Is it time to add my voice to speaking out and speaking up to support this world's smallest, most marginalized and muffled voices of our time. I think it's always time for that. That's just my take on it. Let your voice be a reminder, that inner voice, that speaking up for equality is not about equanimity. You know, on Sunday, Reverend Elisha Christopher said, the greatest spiritual practice on this earth is interacting with other people. We are here interdependently in mutual co-creation, lifting each other up. Wow. The greatest spiritual practice, I gotta repeat it, the greatest spiritual practice on this earth is interacting with other people. We are here interdependently in mutual co-creation, lifting each other up. This is a time that is called sacred activism. And it requires the knowingness of your oneness with God and the bravery to act in your whole human form. This is the time. Before I close, because I just have a short one today, this time, I wanted to talk about, I don't know how much minutes I have left, but I took a glance over at the clock. But I wanted to talk about something that I watched a little bit on Zoom, not on Zoom, but I was on the computer. It was YouTube. It's an inspiring example about holding your own and recognizing the oneness within. It's not a happy story, by the way, but it's about Celeste Monroe. She's a judge in Charleston. She's a judge in the Charleston District Court. And I want this story to really inspire your bravery that you have within. And it's a bravery of calmness that is portrayed by Celeste Monroe. She went to work one day and she decided, as she had done every day, she doesn't wear her robes or anything. They're always right in her office, but she had her nice blue suit on, her silver gray locks that hung to her shoulder, and she had her sunglasses on and she looked great, and her heels and all that. And she stopped at the desk when she got into the building and logged in. And when she was logging in, she was approached by a police officer. Excuse me, ma'am, why are you here? She says, I have to be in court in a few minutes. That's why I'm here. And he said, well, I'm sorry, but you need to come with us. And so he took her off. I'm going to make the story short. He took her off into a side room. Another officer followed behind, closed the door in the room, asked her for her identification. And meanwhile, she did say to him, I'm sorry, sir, you have no reason to take me. But her voice was steady and calm. She stayed very calm. You have no reason to pull me aside. I haven't done anything that caused this. And he pulled her aside. He said, no. He said, let me see your ID. And she whipped out her badge. And he glanced at the badge and stuck it in his back pocket. Then he forced her. She pushed back and said, I need to go to court, sir. And she looked at her watch. She says, I'm on time. I need to go to court. And he forced her to sit down in the chair. The other police officer sat her down in the chair. This happened last week, or a few days ago. And he took a pair of shears. She all of a sudden heard the clipping of shears, and he cut off all her hair. Yes, he did. He cut off all her locks, her silver locks that took her, I don't know how long to grow. And she just sat there and When he's done, he said, I don't know why you people should feel like you have the right to even walk in this building. And now that I've cut off your hair, now you look respectable. Now you look decent enough to walk into one of our courtrooms. Little did he know that she was a judge who could ruin his career, take his job. So she goes into the courtroom, goes and all of her folks are there, and she gets her robes on and everything, and she proceeds with what was on the docket that day. She went ahead and went through everything that was on the docket that day. And meanwhile, he is in the back of the court, standing there, he and the other officer, and they are, of course, flabbergasted. Nonetheless, as the day went on, she did call for several recesses, and the first one, of course, she spoke with him. But she asked him several very important questions, that she took the different kind of action. She did not come from anger. She asked him about his background, his career, his background as a police officer in the courtroom, in that building, in the district court, I should say. And he answered all the questions. And then she asked him one particular question about how long he had been able to mistreat people of any kind, of any race, of any color, of any kind. How long had he been able to do that? And somehow, by the way in which he asked the question, he said a long time, or her aide or somebody said a long time. Now there were several people around watching who saw all this, and she of course had the other police officers take him off to jail. The end of that story is that several people came to her, in particular her aide, and said, I'm so sorry, I never spoke up. I did see this and I meant to speak up. I did not open my voice, open my mouth. I was so stunned. And what Celeste Monroe did was she turned to her aide and she said, and her aide was profusely apologizing, and she said to her aide, but you're speaking up now. This is the time. This is why you came. You are here right now to do this. And may your mouth never be closed again. And I wanted to end on that story because that, to me, was very inspiring. And I hope tonight this has brought a little inspiration for you too. Thank you so much for listening to all of this. I really appreciate it from my heart to yours.
Thank you, Peggy. You have
Yes.
another 20 minutes or so. So do you want to pose some questions or open it for conversation?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to make a comment about anything that I've said this evening?
I wish I could speak.
I know, it takes a minute. I know.
I really do.
I
Peggy,
know.
Peggy. That's what I want to say, because she didn't come from anger, but I don't know where I am in the universe right now after hearing that. And the way you spoke to it, I'm just thinking this talk was just loaded with probably triggers for me, because I grew up in what I call the Berkeley bubble. I was born in the South, but raised in mostly Berkeley, California, and I didn't have the benefit of growing up in an environment where I was put in my place so that I would know my place and I could act like I was supposed to act, I suppose. I'm wondering how much of my awareness of me and the situation, I'm wondering, have I been in disguise or been not been able to be authentic, because I did not know why I was unliked. I did not know why I was unloved. I know there was a hostility there, but I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know that the worlds were divided. I just didn't know. And I had a fear about me all through childhood, and I was afraid to say anything to anybody, especially my parents, because somehow I had the feeling that my parents, if I told them what I was feeling, could be hurt in some way. I didn't know how. I didn't know about beatings and hangings and that kind of thing that were going on.
Yes.
You talked about
Yes.
unresolved grievances, is what I heard you say.
Yes.
You talked about awareness and authenticity. You
Yeah.
thought about operating in a disguise.
Yes. Which is, yes.
You
Yeah.
talked about, you spoke of so many things, and then you gave, and at the end, this experience of the judge. I was in the there was a diversity presentation on the incarceration of the Japanese during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And there also was a movie that was presented by, I can't think of the name of the film or anything like that. This caused a great deal of, for me, what in terms of my world being shaken.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, my world is not, I don't, it's not my values, it's my hope. It feels like I've been picked up by a force and shaken by, and my hope shaken. And hearing this, you say this incident happened a few weeks ago?
Yeah, it's on, you can put her name into YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, put it
YouTube.
in YouTube, Celeste Monroe, Judge Celeste Monroe. She's Charleston District Court Judge. Monroe is how you spell her last name.
Monroe.
Celeste Monroe, yes.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
I was born near Monroe, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
And I was born there because my mother had a baby before me,
Mm-hmm.
and her baby was born deceased because the doctor delivering her crushed her skull.
Oh.
And so I wish that I had had conversations with my mother along the way. I didn't, but
Mm-hmm.
I was realizing how angry I was when you were telling the, what happened to this
Mhm.
judge, and
Mhm.
also during the presentation of the incarceration of the Japanese and during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'll have to go for some calming help for me, but I so appreciate your presentation because I I didn't, it's like I was living and growing up in two separate worlds and unaware of either one. Eventually, I was aware of racism, yes,
Mm-hmm.
but my it seemed to me my cousins always had a wisdom in their growing up that they could draw on that I wasn't privy to because I didn't have their experience. I didn't know how to act under the circumstances I was in, and I didn't know anything about asking for help. I suppose if I had been raised, and I'm going to stop talking, around my cousins, I could have gone to someone and said something, but unfortunately, I didn't have that resource and I couldn't. But anyway, I'm so glad to hear your talk tonight because it does give me a place to go. And thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Grady. Thank you for sharing. I wanted to just thank you a lot. And I wanted to talk a little bit about something you said. I wanted to make sure I understood that you said during your childhood. I wanted to go back there because in my childhood, maybe we have something similar going on here in that you didn't know why people were not treating you well. Is that what I thought I heard you say?
Yes, I didn't.
Yeah, and you think that maybe it had to do with the fact that you were behaving freely. You weren't aware until you became aware that you were quote unquote different, as in race or shade, we call it now in today's world, we call it your shade, your coloring, your skin tone, and all of that. And if it was your height or anything, then that all those things played a role. All of them played a role. And I think it plays a role for most people. If you're short and fat, if you're tall and slim, that society accepts you in different ways and rejects you in different ways.
I see.
Depends on who you are, how you show up, and who you how you arrive and you walk around this world, and you contribute to society as you continue to get deeper and grow richer in and of yourself. And that's where the authority comes in.
It starts like any other day, and it was just after 8 a.m. when Celeste Monroe stepped out of her silver Buick and walked up the stone steps of the Charleston Federal Courthouse.
Somebody want to play that? That wasn't me.
Who was that? Sounded like Robert Leeds, but
No,
maybe not.
that's the recording on
okay.
YouTube about Celeste Monroe.
And that also lets us know nothing has really changed for African Americans in this country. And it is not getting better for anyone of any color in this country, because this new president, to me, is trying to get rid of anybody of any color other than being a white Caucasian person in this country. And what I am a mother of a 6'4" African American son. And I want you to know I fear for his life. When he was a student at San Jose State playing basketball, and all the little groupies were all little white girls running willing to do, oh, I'll do your laundry, I'll fix you this. And I remember his father, who was a Hobart graduate, said, Michael, be careful of the groupies that are around you. You have to be different than anybody else. And I fear for my son this day, being 6'4" with a biracial child, 18-year-old daughter. This is not what I wanted for my son when I birthed him. I wanted the freedom for him to be and do the things that he wanted to do as an African American in this United States. And this new president is making sure that we no longer are going to be part of the Constitution of the United States of America. He is getting rid of all of us. And I remember living in New York City, that the Trump family would not rent to African Americans in New York City. And I see this same thing is happening in this United States, no matter where you're living. And I'm complete.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm angry. I'm angry because I wanted the best and the highest for my kids, and they have to struggle to get there. And if they ever get there, that would be because of someone else being our leader in democracy in these United States. And I'm complete.
Okay. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you very much. And I want us to remember and to think about what this particular topic is about, which is it's about overcoming our silence. It's about speaking up and speaking out to the right people at the right time in the right way, which was what I was very inspired about. Because I think that's very critical towards the success of your voice being heard and powerful. And I know that the power of our voices together when we I guess there's a big demonstration coming up in June on the weekend of the 13th and 14th, where all over the United States, people are going to be out there marching. Yes, Maureen, please speak up. Maureen?
Yeah, coming on. So exactly, I was just going to talk about June 14th is No King's Day. And this is the time. So everybody needs to be looking at their calendar, and they need to be putting in that they're going to go to a demonstration. Why? Because it's nonviolent, because you are going to be counted. And if you're in your house watching TV or you're doing something else, you're not going to be counted. And listen to this one. We were going to have a practitioner retreat. And considering all the people that wanted to go to this protest and how important it is, we are moving our practitioner retreat. So this is the time. This is the day. There's an article going around that says 3.5% of the population has to get out in the streets to be counted, not to do anything violent, but just to be counted. And that will turn the tide of authoritarianism. So I've texted all of my friends and said, like, hey, would you join me in doing this? And I've gotten about 4 or 5 people that are going to go that wouldn't otherwise protest. So I encourage, everybody to do this. It's what's important right here, right now. We need to stand up and break the silence. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Deborah's next. And then Larry, you're next.
One of the things I think is that this is a critical time, and I applaud everything that has been said, but this is a different time, because I think what used to be where we were the only ones yelling, the whole country is yelling now. And all of us, I believe, are looking for a difference. And also we're realizing the corruption of the system and asking and protesting, praying, standing up, and in anything that we can do, we are moving to eliminate that which we no longer want. The other thing I want to say is religious science teaches us we want a world that works for everyone. So we have to be actively moving in the direction of that principle. I get angry. Please do not think I don't daily. But I'm using my principles to remind me to remember to actively do something that is working towards making a world work for everyone. And so when Maureen said we are protesting, when Peggy said we are protesting, yes, stand up. Those of us who can get out there and do that. I belong to a social justice, not only here, but I also belong to another ministry that we too are writing letters. We too have some of the people that can be out absolutely doing something actively to make our voices heard. We too are calling our people in Congress to let them know, and I'm bombarding their offices locally and in Washington. There is a lot of things that we can do to make this world work for everyone instead of just saying it, doing something about it as well. And so my prayers are consistently on a daily basis, but I am also doing other things to actively make sure my voice is being heard. My pen is, and I have arthritis, but I am doing things to make sure that it'll be a different time this time, because we've all been through something. I mean, most of us as African Americans, and we know we have been through the hurt, the pain, and also the degradation, and we're saying not this time around. Yeah. And so I just wanted to put that in and absolutely lift up. These principles are saying we're going to fight for a world that works for everyone. And prayers are needed, and other things are needed. For that which we can do it. I'm complete.
Thank you, Deborah. Larry Williams is next.
Thank you, Peggy. And also thank you for your inspiring talk, in particular the part about staying silent when you should not stay silent. But I want to chime in with what Maureen and Deborah rather just said. On the 14th, I'm a part of a group here at my senior center. We call ourselves the Rock Ridge Seniors for Democracy. And we have been participating as a part of the national demonstrations that have been going on since the hands-off initial happened. And we have started off with just the seniors here at my center, with some of the seniors going out on the street on 51st and Broadway in wheelchairs and walkers to demonstrate our concern about, as we described it at that time, saving our grandkids. But our group has now grown from about, I'd say 25 or so to over 500 that are now joining us on the corner of 51st and Broadway or Coronado Avenue and Broadway. And we again will be out on the 14th as a part of the No Kings Day rally. But I would encourage everybody who wants to get out of the silence about on, because for me in particular, growing up in South Carolina during Jim Crow era, I know where it can go. I've experienced it and lived it basically my entire life, because some of the reasons that I remain silent even today is because of the shame and fear that I had growing up in the South under a discriminatory racist system, for fear of being hurt or harmed, but also being made to feel like nothing. That, your talk reminded me, Peggy, of that connection and gave me a little different perspective on that.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, I want to agree with Maureen and Deborah. The most important thing we can do now is stay out of silence and get out and do something.
Mm-hmm.
And just being on the street protesting is something that we all can do. And I encourage you to do it. And I welcome you to join us on the 14th down on the corner of 51st and Broadway here in Oakland at 11 a.m. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Larry. I wanted to just add one more thing before we go into our announcements, which is I so appreciate everybody giving their feedback and listening and understanding what we're talking about tonight, both from our childhood and our personal experiences, regardless of our color, because whatever personal experiences you've had are just as valuable just as vibrant, just as powerful in building who it is that you are. And I think that this journey that we're on right now, we must remain persistent. Understanding that breaking silence and advocating, because like I said at the beginning, we are already advocates. We were born that way. And I think if we begin to use that, one of the things is it's an ongoing process. That's understanding the breaking that science and advocating for what we really want to change in this world at this time in particular. It's an ongoing process, and we have to stay resilient. We have to stay persistent. And we have to also stay connected to our spiritual practices and our spiritual beliefs as we journey into our advocacy efforts and our advocacy actions and our advocacy voices, knowing that we're doing the right thing, knowing, not believing, we're knowing we're doing the right thing. I'm going to be out of town that weekend. I'll be in Colorado, but I'm already looking for where in Colorado we're all going to be meeting, because I intend to be out there in Colorado as well. So I know that this overcoming silence is very critical from birth to now, for there's no other time like now. And I just want to encourage everybody to continue to open your mouths and do it any way you can. I have stamped postcards and just put a label, same thing on a postcard, sent it to the governors, the congressmen, the senators, and I'm going to do it again, just to say something. I'm not out there yet. Although I did stand out there with Larry and his folks on one weekend when it first started. So
yes.
Yes, and the anger, thank you, Deborah, thank you, Dorothy, for mentioning anger. I'm sure other people have anger too. My dear friend
And
Seamus.
Freddie Lambert has his hand up.
Okay, I'll be right with you, Freddie.
All right.
My friend Seamus Berkeley, who is a dear friend, he gets very, he's not an African American, but he gets very angry also for a number of reasons. So I know that anger is not just, only for people of color. So I definitely want to hand over my word now to Freddie.
Yes.
All right. Hello, hello. I will be really quick. Also, just want to spotlight myself there too. Okay. I just also wanted to briefly mention, just in the current day and age that we're in, just being in a high surveillance state, just be very cautious when you are going out to protest. If you're posting anything on social media, any of the pictures that you're taking, just be wary of your location that's on your phone, just because the government is tracking it. So just before you go to a protest, just look up some tips and tricks on how to be safe and protect yourself and others when you go to a protest, just because they're paying a little more attention now to who's being vocal and who's out there, and we shouldn't have to worry about being disappeared off the street, or speaking up and then having that affect your job and things like that. So I just wanted to also mention that. I just want everyone to be safe.
Thank you,
I
Freddie.
will pass
Thank
it
you.
on to Judith for the
Thank you
announcements.
so much. Thank you so much,
you, Freddie.
sweetheart.
Thank you, Freddie. Wow. Wow. Peggy, really, really powerful talk. And thank you for telling us about Celeste Monroe. I didn't know about her. And I'm going to look her up now and get that full story. Whew. So now we're moving into our announcements, and we are going to go a little over time. If you need to drop off, that's okay, but we needed to hear what everyone had to say. And I really appreciate it, what everybody has shared tonight. And I also am going to be out there on the 14th for the No Kings protest. Okay, so the first announcement is that this Sunday, June 1st, Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman will be speaking on In Living Color. And as usual on Sundays, meditation starts at 10 and is followed by a service at 10:30. Okay, next slide. And on Wednesday, June 4th, our meditation will begin at 6:30. The service will begin at 7, and it will be on the same topic in living color. And please join the Ministry of Prayer for Friday Night Prayer Happy Hour on May 30th from 7 to 8 p.m. on Zoom. It's weekly on Fridays, except for the fourth Friday of the month. Practitioners Maureen Molina and Megan Lemon extend this open invitation to anchor in prayer with your spiritual community. Please visit oaklandcsl.org/events and click on the image and follow the log for instructions. And join the fabulous Lisa Ferraro and the magnificent Tammy Hall on Friday evening, June 27th, from 7 to 9 p.m. for our OCSL 80th anniversary concert, Light, Love, and All That Jazz. Tickets are on sale now. Visit oaklandcsl.org/events. The next few Sundays, we will have someone in the foyer or courtyard providing assistance in ordering tickets for those who need online support. And be sure to get your ticket today and bring a friend. Help us all out this concert. And we are celebrating AAPI Heritage together. And also then we're honoring the culture, history, and contribution of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And then next slide, Freddie. Also in June, we are celebrating Pride Month. And next slide, we're celebrating Juneteenth. And a little bit about Juneteenth, it's a federal holiday that commemorates the end of slavery in the United States. It's celebrated annually on the 19th of June. And it's also known as Freedom Day, Black Independence Day, and Jubilee Day. It marks the day in 1865 when Union troops arrived in Galveston, Texas, and informed enslaved people that they were free, which was 2 years after President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. And our next announcement is that our nonprofit partner for May and June is Be a Mentor, a nonprofit that seeks to help children and youth through challenging and vulnerable circumstances and build vibrant, successful lives for themselves with the support of caring and positive adult role models. Visit their website at beamentor.org for more information. And help us save the Science of Mind magazine by helping to increase our subscribers. Our legacy magazine that has inspired many for so long is in danger of becoming extinct. Give the gift of Science of Mind today. Visit csl.org for more information. And the Spirit Treasure Bookstore in May celebrates Asian American and Pacific Islander Month and Mother's Day. Be sure to check out the 30% off table. And now I want to honor our contact team at OCSL. These are all the people who make our center run smoothly. We have our senior minister, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, Megan Lemon, who is co-lead of the Ministry of Prayer, and Maureen Molina, who's also the co-lead of the Ministry of Prayer. We have Beth Van Arkel, president of the board, Steve Carter, operations coordinator, facility usage coordinator, practitioner Susan Brecker, and our bookkeeper Dow Becker. We just want to thank them, and we honor them every week in the announcements because they do so much for us. Next slide. And so now we move into joyous giving time, and I want to invite you to say with me this affirmation. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies this offering. It blesses all that I am, all that I give, and all that I circulate. Thank you, love as me. And so it is. And so we invite you to, if you feel so inspired, to donate to the center, help support the center. You can go to oaklandcsl.org and press the donate button. There are many ways to donate. You can use Zelle, you can use QR code, you can text. You can, obviously, you can write a check and mail it to the center. And you can obviously put in a donation in the basket if you're there in person on Sunday. So these are all ways to give, and we welcome anything. Nothing is too small an amount, a big amount, a small amount. It's the spirit that counts. Where it's coming from in your heart is what matters. And we welcome you and encourage you to, if you feel so inspired, to support our center. And now I want to just thank everybody who's participated in the service tonight. I want to thank Freddie Lambert III, who is our behind the scenes AV person and also led our meditation tonight. I want to thank, of course, our speaker, Peggy Cotton, for a very, very beautiful and inspiring and powerful talk tonight. I want to thank Alice Knudsen, who gave us our opening prayer, and thank Dorothy Mendez in advance, who is going to give our closing prayer. And I want to thank all of the practitioners, I mean, the ministers who support us. Reverend Elena Hutchinson, she hosts this every other Wednesday. And Reverend Ikea Param, I didn't see her here tonight, but she's often on our Wednesday night calls. And of course, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. And I want to acknowledge Steve Carter, who's our operations coordinator. He prepares the slides and the documents for our Wednesday nights. So now I would like to invite Dorothy to close us out in prayer.
Oh, yes, and it is my pleasure to be here at this very moment. Let us take a deep breath together and just exhale, giving thanks for this time together, giving thanks for the words that our beloved Peggy has brought to us, this lesson of silence and knowing the truth of who we are. We say thank you. We say thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this and for the more. And I give thanks for her classmates who have showed up to support her in ways that we could not have possibly understood. I know and bless this time for each and every one of us on this call, knowing that we are grounded and surrounded in the love and the light of God. And we just say, thank you, Mother, Father, God, for this and for the more, and for the silence that we experience. Just know to be still and know that God is all there is. There is nothing else but God. And we are blessed. We are grounded in this love and this light. And I just say, thank you, God, for this and for the more. And I release this word into the law that always says yes. Yes. Thank you, Peggy. Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Freddie. Thank you for all who have participated in this service today. And I let go and I let God. And together we say, and so it is.
So it is.
Thank you for that beautiful prayer, Dorothy. And thank you again, Peggy. Let's give Peggy some love. Let's show Peggy some love. Thank you, Peggy. It was a beautiful, beautiful talk, Peggy. Very, very powerful.
Thank you.
Oh.